then you get the potential for a magnetar-type discharge, where its own processes are thought to surge energy through its L-shell fields, arc down, and literally crack the surface of the star. At that point, the loss of power grids might be one of the lesser concerns.
Hello, and after that introduction, what does that mean to do with God? Well, if we go into Revelation, we will find out Revelation 14:19 to 21. Let's read it out. It's going to talk about two angels that come in with a scythe. A scythe is used for cutting grass, way back before we had any kind of machinery, so to speak of. So two angels arrive with two scythes, and they clear the earth of people, good and bad. So let's have a quick read and see what it says. I looked, and there before me was a white cloud, and seated on the cloud was one like a son of man, with a crown of gold on his head and a sharp sickle in his hand. Then another angel came out of the temple, and called in a loud voice to him who was sitting on the cloud, Take your sickle and reap, because the time to reap has come, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. So he who was seated on the cloud swung his sickle over the earth, and the earth was harvested. Now the one who was seated on the cloud, a cloud is an electromagnetic mass, and from that would come lightning. So the one who was seated on the cloud electrified the earth, and the earth was harvested at that point. Now the earth was harvested. Normally harvested grain is put into a big old container and kept to keep it good. To harvest something is to keep what you harvest. So whoever's killed in the first wave of lightning that's going to kill everybody, which you just saw on Suspicious Observer's video, those people are going to be harvested by God, and he's going to keep it safe. Now let's have a look at the second angel. Another angel came out of the temple in heaven, and he too had a sharp sickle. Still another angel, who had charge of the fire, came from the altar and called in a loud voice to him who had the sharp sickle. Take your sharp sickle and gather the clusters of grapes from the earth's vine, because its grapes are ripe. The angel swung his sickle on the earth, gathered its grapes, and threw them into the great winepress of God's wrath. They were trampled in the winepress outside the city, and blood flowed out of the press, rising as high as the horses' bridles for a distance of 1,600 stadia. So, the second angel is going to clear the rest of the earth. We've just found out that all the good wheat was harvested, but everything else, all the clusters of people who are living on the earth, are going to be picked up and smashed, trampled, squished, squashed, ripped to pieces by God's wrath. So we have first lightning wave, which will zoom across the planet, will take people away for good. The second one, everybody's getting thrown into the winepress of God because they don't like God. So now let's go back to Ben Davidson's video and find out what an electromagnetic expulsion from the sun is going to do to this planet. So we'll play a bit more of the fuller video so you can understand that God's words from the Bible, which are an electromagnetic event, and everything in there should be interpreted as an electromagnetic event. These words all correspond with what will happen to this planet if too much energy is poured into it. And God said he will strike Israel 5, even 6 times. There have been 5 mass extinctions. Number 6 is coming. And then it will be a new day. And that will be the last day. And the last time that this planet gets wiped out.
Fields connecting to the polar regions. In most solar blasts, even the worst ones we only see every decade or so now, the magnetosphere of Earth compresses down to those outer L shells, but still connects to the polar region in the most exposed outer zones. But in the extreme scenario, it could be very different. The modeling of the Great Solar Storm of 1859, for example, which lit telegraph wires on fire and shocked operators, came close to hitting the lowest level L shells. And if that were to actually happen on Earth in a superflare or micronova, then you get the potential for a magnetar-type discharge, where its own processes are thought to surge energy through its L shell fields, arc down, and literally crack the surface of the star. At that point, the loss of power grids might be one of the lesser concerns. As for the electric geology, lab results confirm this action on terrestrial planets. The only question is, did it happen before and could it happen again?
So there we have it. Another scripture explained using electricity and electromagnetism and understanding how the sun works and how the planet works and how it will react when an electrical overload is happening. So everything that I've ever written is proving to be correct. It just happens that I talk about quantum physics and plasma cosmology for most of the videos. Even I didn't know that I was just showing that double helix energy flow that God showed me in visions in 2014 turns out to be absolutely true, and that's how everything works. It's pretty funny, eh? So if I was you, I would watch my videos for a start. There's lots of biblical explanations of lots of scripture. You would have to go through my videos on my playlist to find them, but in general, the world's going to end exactly how God said it would, with upheaval and fire and brimstone and lightning from the skies. And it's going to happen because the sun and this universe is pretty much on its last legs, and basically, yeah, our sun's going to go pop due to overload from outside our solar system. So you need to get right with God and get on your knees and ask for forgiveness. And if you have, you should start to rejoice, because I said I was the small scroll. I said it was placed in my head and downloaded inside of 3 weeks, everything in the universe and how it's made. So yeah, turns out I was right. All right. Thanks very much. My name is Lee. I follow the Christ, and the end is coming soon enough. Thanks a lot. Bye.